I'm playing the odds. But there's this little thing inside that I'm just like,
he's a good underdog.
I'm like, is O'Malley gonna shock him? Was he gonna knock out Aljamain?
Congrats, Amun, on your recent TKO ground and punches victory this last week or so.
Yeah.
Your opponent, I know I'm probably going to butcher this.
Valadia
Avazian. Avazian?
Yeah, Avazian.
Okay. So Avazian Avazian. Heard another guy say it on the commentary a different way, so I'm like, I'm just going to wing it, So Avazian, coming into this fight, he finished all his fights by finish. Yeah. 9 knockouts, 2 submissions. Did that give you any sense of urgency at all that this guy's going to be coming to bring the heat and he's a problem?
We knew the guy. We knew that he was a problem. At this stage in my career where I'm at, there are no simple easy fights, right? And with that being said, my path to victory has never been an easy one. In my amateur career, I always sought out what areas had the best guys and fought those guys. And I went to Florida to fight people. I've been to Tennessee a bunch to fight people. And then when I started fighting more in Georgia, I was literally going to promoters and hey, who's the top guy? I remember literally having conversations literally after a fight. I'd win a fight and I'd go right to the promoter. Who's the top guy in this weight class? The best wrestler, the best striker, the best whatever. And I really think that cemented the foundation of being prepared to deal with whatever style, striking or grappling or this or that and the third, but also putting yourself in the fire. Not shying away from the fire. We all get nervous. We all have these things that go on before a fight, but putting yourself in there. We knew this guy was dangerous. And the fact that when I fought in February, we watched him fight live, we saw that even if he's losing a fight, he's never out. He was losing that last fight. He was in down 2 rounds and came out and KO'd this dude, which means he has a belief that he gonna win the fight no matter what the circumstances are.
First 2 rounds.
And so self-belief is the best thing you can have in this case. And
confidence.
That confidence that I'm all right, cool. I lost that round, cool. Now you're down 2 rounds. Now it's a sense of urgency. So we did have a simple game plan, but the biggest thing was remaining patient because I don't mind getting into a firefight.
Yeah, you're quick to jump the gun and just get that KO immediately.
And it's my team was just does an amazing job saving me from myself.
Yeah.
There are literally times in the fight where I'm about to engage into I just call fuck it. Hey, we about to throw. And then Lathan's take a lap. I was oh fuck, okay. Disengage. Just use my footwork, go around the cage.
When you were against the cage, then you would spun out of it. I remember that.
So he's hey man, you just take a lap, go around the cage, clear the tension, make him come back to you, and then go again. So it's at this level of fighting, we're not dealing with guys. It's oh, this guy's just good at this or just good at this. Hey, we really have to game plan, and we knew he was a very dangerous opponent. And looks could be deceiving because I tell people if you look at the weigh-in, you're oh, Moon got a 6-pack, 8-pack flexing. This guy's a little soft around the midsection. You're about to. I was 9 other people thought that. 11 other people thought that too, and 9 of them are waking up.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be number 10. So you gotta trust in the game plan, but also I mentioned it before on another interview I had. It's aggressive patience. It's be aggressive. But be patient. Don't be reckless. Don't be aggressive and be reckless because then that's the fight that this guy wants. So it was all about staying disciplined. I told everyone that would be the path to victory. Stay disciplined and be patient. And then when the opportunity presents itself, we'll get it. And that's what happened.
Sweet. Yeah. So on the feet, first round seemed to be kind of close, razor thin.
Yeah.
And if anyone else thinks otherwise, I think the judges would say that it would probably be pretty close.
It was
how judges can be.
back and forth. It was
so
definitely,
they can score it either way. On the feet, it seemed pretty even, but once you got to the ground and your level of wrestling, the ground game just overpowered him. Did you think that you were going to have to implement the wrestling like before, like when you won your last fight and you're like starting to study this guy? Were you like, okay, I'm going to have to immediately wrestle? Or were you like, no, I'll just see if I can strike with him? Or which one did you think you were going to have to go with?
Well, we knew that if it hit the ground, the fight was over. But like there are a lot of circumstances. Like I could just go in there and say, I'm going to go in and wrestle the guy. The first time I locked up with him and I tried to get the takedown, it didn't work because he knew, he was aware. That's what people don't understand. Like fight awareness and fight IQ is huge. We got into one little exchange and I started to go for a 10-figure guillotine, not to finish it because I knew he wasn't going to tap to a 10-figure guillotine. I knew he was going to put his hands on my hands, and that would give me just enough time to get to the back. Because in the warm-up, Bubby is like 5'2", so he's closer to that guy's height. And when he was doing, like we were getting our warm-up in the back, he was going in for this little clinch-style stuff where the guy would probably fight out of, and I was using the same back take. And as soon as I got that little 10-figure guillotine where he kind of shot in a little bit, and I started doing, I was like, I'm gonna take his back. I was just doing this 5 minutes ago. Took the back, and he fought my hands right away. Because the last fight, he lost 2 rounds because he let the guy just take him to the ground and wrestle him to death. Now, I could have went out there and been a bully and try and just go forward and then have I had a possibility of taking more damage or running into shots if I did so. I believe in my wrestling and grappling. I could have strike and then just set up a shot, but
you were picky and decisive with it.
Look, decisive. Let's see what's available to us. I believe I could have knocked him out. If we stood standing, I had some nice body kicks. I missed that flying knee by that much. But I wasn't hunting for a knockout. I was taking what was available to me. And at that time, when somebody's presenting something to you, you have to assess the data. You have to assess the data. We know what the war is being. We know where the war is being fought in the cage. We know that. So now that we know the grounds that it's fought on, let's figure out we know what the opponent was going to bring to the table. Now, when we get in there, let's assess because maybe they made changes. So it's you don't want to be so quick to this is the only way I can win the fight because then you're so rigid in this that you could be missing other opportunities. So we knew that, hey, this gives me hey, Moon, literally all training camp, Cole, Bubby, Lathan, everyone separate times told me, if you get this guy to the ground, you're gonna beat him. We just gotta get him there. There's no rush. Don't rush. Cole's just get him to the ground, bro. We know we're path to victory. Bubby's I like your grappling 10 days out of 10 against him. Lathan was oh yeah, just win it out. Just take him to the ground. Yeah. So we knew that was the highest % chance of victory, but you gotta get there intelligently. And this is also a display to show my skill set, to show how I've grown as a martial artist and things like that. So it's good to get a little time in the cage too.
Absolutely, yeah. So you notice how his stance, he was kind of letting his guard down a little bit.
That was purposely.
Yeah, I know he does that kind of on purpose, but with that flying knee at the end of the first round, did you feel with him letting his guard down, you were going to take advantage of that and just go off? And because last 10 seconds, some guys are kind of getting a little loose. So okay, I'm about to go back in my corner. I'm kind of backing away. Sometimes they're right in their face at the end.
They want the shot. They want to get the big reaction. Before a good head kick. So on the clap, he threw a head kick. He threw a head kick, and I just leaned back and I hit the cage. And the biggest thing about striking is all about distance management. So he threw a head kick. I back out, and when I touch the cage, I'm all right, cool. I know it's 10 seconds left. And then as I'm coming forward, it's just something you have to be an experienced martial artist to understand the feeling of when someone's about to strike. You can see the body movement, you can see everything. And I was he threw a head kick, so he's looking for something big, number one. Ding, ding, ding. There's space, so there's this relaxed thing. And as you get the space, as you and another person get closer and closer, you kind of feel this internal tension. And as we were getting closer, I was like, he threw something big. He's waiting for me to throw big so he can throw again. And I was like, the overhand right is going to come. So to try and pull the strike out, I took the smallest step to make him think that I was going to shoot for a takedown. Because how many times do people shoot for a takedown to secure a round? All the time. Mm-hmm. He just threw a head kick, a high, long-range technique. So I take a small jab step. If you look, I never bent down to throw the knee, but his hands were like this. Mm-hmm. His hands were like this because I did a jab step where I did this, and as soon as I did this, he's like, oh, I don't want to get the takedown. He starts going like this to stop the takedown, and I just synced it. And I've been practicing that knee for 4 fucking months.
Yeah, that was crazy. I was like,
I missed it by this much.
It was close.
And I launched it, and when I launched it, and like at the like peak of where I was in the air, I saw his back, and I was like, fuck, I am so high right now. And I was just like, I gotta land. And he was like, and it's like a weird thing, but I got back to my feet. But
that would have been
the
crazy.
joy I would have had for getting a flying knee knockout with 1 or 2 seconds left in the first round.
Couldn't get any better than that.
Yeah, that one like got me excited, but also like every time I look back, I'm like, I was so close. It's a game of inches, man.
Yeah, game of inches. So for this fight camp, you had the opportunity to train in Thailand, birthplace of Muay Thai. Mm-hmm. Could you just kind of go into that experience and kind of explain how it might have helped you for this fight, or just overall as a fighter or a person?
Oh man,
just knowledge in general.
That experience was life changing. I spoke to my family and friends and stuff like that. It was like I didn't just level up as a martial artist. I leveled up as a man. Like I'm 31. I've never left the United States. It was my first time ever going international, and I didn't go to Thailand for a weekend. I went to Thailand for a month, and like I was like I just like fully immersed. One thing I just learned now is like you want something, you got to fully immerse yourself in it. You can't dip your toe in, like, you know, and test the waters out. You want it, go boom, jump in. And I went to Thailand, and obviously my striking has gotten better, but also the way that they view fighting, the culture, the people, it changed how I saw everything from fighting to lifestyle. And I'm already a grateful person, but like I was so grateful because I'm like, man, you don't know how good you have it until you go to a third world country and you see how some other people live. And I'm like, man, I can't turn on the water and just go get water and just drink water out the faucet. We're grateful for that here in America. You just, oh, you don't like the way it tastes? Put a Brita filter on it, buy it. Like every day you had to go get water. So I'm like, go get water. It's not temperature controlled. Every place you go into does not have AC. Most people are walking places, so I'm like walking miles and miles a day. I'm bringing back water, buying groceries, all this stuff. It was the things that you take for granted were things you had to work for there. And to see people living with so much less, but willing to give so much more than here, it was like eye-opening. It's like these people have next to nothing, and they are, what can I do for you? Giving. And the most important thing is like they're giving their time. You know, it's like you can't get time back. You can't get it. And not once did someone give something with an expectation to receive anything back. So I'm like, what people don't know is I almost lost my arm in Thailand.
Submitted?
No. I almost lost my arm in Thailand.
What happened?
I was training and I thought I got like a little tear in my tricep or whatever. So I was just like wrapping my arm. It's whatever. It's a little tear, whatever, a little muscle tear or tendon, whatever. Kept training, and then my arms got bigger. And then it got to the point where I couldn't even lift my arm up, and like I'm like, all right, this is getting bad. Like arm started swelling up, arm ended up getting infected, got an abscess. The abscess got infected, and it was like fucking massive. I couldn't like move my arm. It was caused some soft tissue damage and stuff like that. And then I had to get surgery in Thailand. I had to cut it, drain it, clean it out, all this stuff.
What week was that? Was it the first, second week, or?
So that's the thing. So I was there for 4 weeks. This happened. What was it? At the end. It's like a week and a half or something like that. Like a week and a half, and then I ended up training for a whole nother like week and stuff with it. So the last like 10 days in Thailand, I didn't even train. I couldn't train. I had a hole in my arm the size of a golf ball.
Wow.
And like it was crazy because, you know, my team knew, and you know, my family knew, and then it's like, man, just like, you know, I didn't tell them everything, but I didn't tell them I had a hole in my arm. Yeah, I was like, yeah. But I was like, it's like, Lathan was like, hey man, look, if you can't train, you know, go enjoy Thailand. I couldn't do anything because I have a hole in my arm. It's in Thailand during the summertime, so it's like
affected,
so hot outside, and the doctor's like, "Hey man, we can't be getting sweat and stuff in there." I'm like, there's not a day that I didn't sweat in Thailand. So I was like isolated. I was in my room, like curtains closed, and I had a lot of time to think and reflect, and was just like, "Yo, you're living your dream, but now you're at a point right now where you can't do anything that you wanted to do when you were out there." And like, I told people, I didn't go to Thailand to go on vacation to hit the beaches. I was probably going to hit the beaches while I was there, but like I went to train Muay Thai.
You train on the beach.
Yeah, I did end up going to 2 beaches, Rawai Beach and then Freedom Beach, which is pretty cool because the name Freedom Beach, you got to hike through like 450 meters of jungle to get there. But then when you get there, it's like, whoa, worth it. Yeah. But I had this thing going on, and I was just like, it's crazy. Like the only thing that remains the same is that the only thing that remains true is that nothing remains the same. It's like things are always going to be changing. So when you're at your highest high, you got to know that, hey, there's going to be change. And when you're at your lowest low, we think that it's going to stay the same. It's like, no, things are going to change. So I had to really like look deep down inside. I got this hole in my arm. I'm like, I got to fight in a couple months. Am I even going to be able to fight? And like then as my arm starts to get worse, I'm like, I'm going to be able to get like full range of motion in my arm back and all this stuff. I was super nervous about getting surgery in a foreign country. And like I'm like going to the hospital, and I actually got treated the best that I've ever been treated ever in a hospital in my whole entire life.
I don't know if this is true, but are the bills for hospitals cheaper in like a lot of places like that?
Cheaper is an understatement. I was concerned that I was like, man, I'm gonna get stuck out here in Thailand because I can't pay this bill. Like, it was so cheap, it was ridiculous.
Wow.
And I didn't go to like an urgent care. I went to a hospital. I spoke to the surgery doctor, nurses. From the time I walked in the hospital, this hospital was so clean, by the way. I felt like I could have ate off the floors. Like, it was ridiculous. I walked in, and I'm like, before I do anything, I go right to the lady. I'm like, hey, look, this is what happened. Can you guys tell me what it'll cost before I even do anything? Because I'm like, I need to know. She's like, hey, do you need an interpreter? Do you need this? Do you need that? All right, cool. She's like, okay. To go see the surgery doctor, then tell you everything that you need. It's gonna be 1,500 baht. And I'm like, it's like $45. I was like, to see the surgery doctor and them to tell me like what's wrong, what I need to do that. All right, cool. Go back, see the surgery doctor. They tell me what's wrong, blah, blah. He's like, I'm talking to him. He's like, yeah, you need surgery. I was like, fuck. I was like, when? He's like now. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, like we can do it now. I was like, I've never been in it was like the fast food of healthcare. I was like, by the time I went in and I left, it was 45 minutes. I spoke to the nurse, the surgery doctor. They did surgery. They cleaned it. They cleaned everything, and then I got my antibiotics and stuff. It was probably less than an hour, and it cost me $180, $190 US.
Wow,
that's fucking unheard of. If that shit would have happened here, I already know because I've been a doctor. Yeah. It happened to my manager. It cost him like $3-4 grand.
Wow,
it's like. What?
Yeah, healthcare is a little crazy.
I don't even want to get into that. That's not my forte. I'm not a politician. I'm a fighter. But like just the whole experience, like that was at the tail end, but that also helped me take my foot off the gas and just like looked back at everything and was like, man, I'm really living my life. Like, I'm not
all gas, no brakes.
Yeah, all gas, no brakes. I'm not taking any shortcuts. I'm not hiding from the things that scare me. And anytime I do, it always comes back to bite me in the butt. Like, the reason why I didn't go to the hospital earlier is because I was afraid. I was like, I'm in a third world country. I don't know about this. Let me just go to the clinic. They give me some antibiotics. Didn't work. And I'm stupid. I'm gonna wrap my arm. I'm literally in Thailand training, and I'm like art of 8 limbs. I'm just not gonna throw my left hand. I'm throwing rights, elbows, right kicks. There's videos of me training where I have my arm wrapped, and the trainer like, he's like, no good. I was like, no. He's like, okay, and we just did everything on the right side. It's just like, okay, which it's just like the level of which they like everything's about training and fighting. And like the way they view fighting is so refreshing. It's not this massive spectacle. Of course, when you get to like, one and like all that stuff is big, but like they fight every day. They're like, oh yeah, what you doing Tuesday? You want to fight? I'm like, Tuesday? I don't fight fights on a Tuesday? Like, who's showing up to fights on a Tuesday? Everybody's like, okay, what you doing Thursday? You want to fight on Thursday? I'm like, okay, cool. You fight on Thursday? No injuries? Cool. You coming back to training Friday? Like, it's like, oh, you won? Cool. You lost? Cool. Like, it's
way of life.
It's just a fight. Yeah. The trainers got 200, 300 plus fights, and it's like they're doing that since they're 6 and 7. They live in the gym, and they're still so gracious with their time. Like one of the trainers, like he saw my arm, and he's like, after training, he pulls up to where I was staying, and he's like barely speaks any English, just enough for us to barely communicate. He's like, oh, I take you to hospital. I was like, bro, you've been training all day, you did this. I'm like, nah. He's like, no. Come on. Get on the back of the scooter. We go to the first time we go like to the local little hospital. He sits there and waits the whole time. Comes back, no one ever asked for a dime of anything. We were there during Sangkran, which is like their water festival, it's the Thai New Year, and like they like throw water on everyone, so like that. We had like families invite. It's like, oh, come like here, just like sit down. We're gonna feed you guys, and here's the drink. And I'm like, these people don't know us from a lick of nowhere. Barely we don't even speak the same language, but like they're so like giving and like just with all the valuable stuff. That whole experience changed my life. And like I said, we could talk about the martial arts aspect, but it just changed my life on how I viewed things in such a major way, and just made me so grateful. And I was just like, I told Lathan, I was like, cause my best friend and my head coach went with me, and he stayed there for 2 weeks. I was there for a month. I was like, I gotta bring Thailand back with me. And I was like, I don't mean just like in by martial arts. I mean like the way they treat each other, the way they live. Like it's so refreshing. It's so refreshing. So like, I was like, hey man, you gotta come back, gotta be grateful. You gotta give without expecting. And it's something that I do, but the way they do it there, which is very eye-opening, to have nothing and give the most valuable thing, your time. It's like, that was like big,
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you for telling me about the injury. I didn't know that. Not a lot of people knew about that.
No one knew about that. But I'll show you some photos and stuff like that.
Yeah, we'll add that on. Seeing that you are now in the finals of the Bantamweight Grand Prix, your next opponent, Justin Wetzel, is coming in at 9-2. He's gone the distance multiple times in his career, and he's coming off a first-round submission at UFL 3. Also has Corey Sandhagen in his corner, current title contender for the UFC Bantamweight belt. Mm-hmm. How will you approach this fight, and do you believe this is like your toughest test to date?
Oh, yes, for sure. Like as you start to go up my record, you see like the opponents that I'm facing are better and better and better. Not just like record doesn't say it all, but like you're not 9-2 by accident. It's obvious that he has a very good MMA game. He trains with Corey Sandhagen, and same way that my game has evolved and gotten better because I train with Cole Miller. But, it's not battle of the corners, it's battle of the fighters, right? But this is definitely going to be my toughest test to date. They didn't put a bunch of the best 135ers in the tournament, and no one got to the end by accident. This was literally a shark eat shark tournament. You're gonna put all the sharks in the tank and see who's left. And right now, who's left is Moon and Justin Winslow. So it's like, this is definitely going to be my toughest test. Like, he's gone the distance, I've gone the distance. He's got first round finishes, I've got first round finishes. So I think the resumes speak for themselves, but fights aren't fought on paper. If they were, then like there'd be a lot of people who would remain undefeated, you know. But yeah, this is my toughest test, and I'm excited about it. Like this gets me. Like, gets the fire going. Like, there's already a fire in there, but it's like you just pour gasoline.
Wakes you up in the morning.
Yeah, this is like I train when I don't feel like training anyway, right? It's like when you train all the time, like there are gonna be times you don't feel like training, where you're hurt, you're bruised, you're sore, you're this, you might feel like you need a little more sleep. But this is like when you wake up, you're like, nah, I got to it. Because you know that there's another highly skilled, formidable opponent on the other side. And there's, like I said, I never leave any stone unturned, but this makes you want to go that extra mile. Like, what is it? What things could I be doing right now to get ready for December? Yeah. And like, this just, for me, it's the opportunity. Like, without great risk, there is no great reward. And it's like, you want the belt, you want to be the best, you want to be the first. Well, you got to go against someone else who also wants those same things. And like, that person earned their way to the spot the same way you earned your way to the spot. And if you want that, you're going to have to earn it. So that's what I love about fighting. I tell people nothing is guaranteed in fighting. And fighters are literally just fighting for an opportunity. They're not fighting for a guarantee. Fighters are just like, just get me to the cage. Just give me a chance. That's all I want. And my whole life, I used to ask for a chance, and now I don't ask for chances, I make them. I'm just like, you want it, like, work for it. You want this life? Work for it. Like, I've began to have a disdain for the word deserve. I don't like that word anymore because it's a very entitled word. I deserve that. No, you don't. Why the fuck do you deserve that? If me and you are about to fight, your team is telling you your team is telling you deserve a win, and my team is telling me I deserve a win. So who deserves the win? You worked hard, blood, sweat, tears. I worked hard, blood, sweat. Who deserves the win? No. Whoever earned the win deserves the win. I don't like to use the word deserve anymore. I like to use earn, because deserve feels like a little bit entitled. Like, you're entitled to this. I deserve this. Why? People say when good things happen that they deserve it. Right? But when bad things happen to them, they don't say they deserve it.
Yeah.
Right? It's the very thing. It's like, I deserve all the grace that I'm getting in life. And then like, you're down and out. Like, oh my God, I can't believe the devil's at work. It's like, oh, how do you know? Like, hey, you're going to be stronger from this. Maybe you deserved that. Or maybe you earned that. So like, that's something that I like adopted in my head maybe about a year and a half ago, like reading all my stoicisms. Like, you earned whatever position you're currently in your life and whatever circumstances that they're at. And like, they don't all have to be good. We earn bad shit too. So like, I don't like to use that word deserve, but I think that this fight, it's not a matter of who wants it more. It's who's going to earn it.
Yeah, I mean, he's even said so himself in the comments. He said, he's like a worthy opponent. He's like, I see in a worthy opponent. So it's, you guys are both on the same page. You guys both gotten here to the championship. Yeah. You guys are really a great matchup, I think. I think it's a great matchup because they've done really good with the matchmaking so far. They've been able to weed out who's got it and who doesn't. Yeah. And he definitely has it, and you definitely have it. So it'll be great to see you guys go at it. And it'll be a 5-round bout, right?
Five rounds. 5. I just like, every time I'm like, so this is like just take yourself back to January before my first fight for the UFL. You're about to enter a tournament. This is something you've been thinking about your whole entire life. Your first professional title. The amateur titles meant something to me when I had them as an amateur, but once you go pro, your amateur career is gone. Like, who cares if you don't do it
Start
pro?
from scratch.
That's it. You're back to 0-0. when you're a pro and you get that title, can't no one take that away from you. And now it's not just, hey, you're going to fight for a title if you win each of these matchups. You're going to fight for the first title. This can never be taken away from you. And when we're in our fight meeting with Harrison Rogers and Sophia and everyone, they said, think of this, how the first UFC belts were. Like, you might not think it's all that glorious now, but later on down the road, when this is one of the biggest things in the world, you will be the first.
So after the Grand Prix, does the UFL plan to start making fight cards like with champions of the weight classes headlining, or are they going to adopt a similar style that PFL uses where the cards are more like tournament based?
I have no clue. I thought about that, and then I tried not to think about it because I'm just like, any additional ounce of energy that I'll focus on like what's next, then I'm not focused on what's now. And like it's another thing Thailand taught me is I never felt so present. Maybe when I was a kid, because like kids live for now. They don't care a crap about tomorrow, what happened yesterday. They want to enjoy life now. I'm watching kids. I'm like, how are you just playing with air and sticks? And I'm like, that was you. That was all kids at one point in time. They lived in the now. And when I was in Thailand as an adult, I never felt more present for an extended period of time. Like I felt super present when I'm fighting. Nothing else matters. I don't care about anything else. It's just the fight. After the fight, I come down, all this stuff like that. Training camps, I feel present in certain moments where you're still thinking about the fight, so you're still a little bit ahead. But like, I'm just thinking about the present right now. I don't want to think about what it'll be like, Then we'll figure that out when it comes. I haven't talked to any of the matchmakers or Sophia or Harrison or Rampage or anybody or Frank Mir about what it'll be like, because then that'll just be wasting mental energy on what it could be. I don't know.
I just thought, because they're so new, and I didn't know after this tournament what they're going to go with, or if they're going to do another Grand Prix maybe.
I don't know. I don't know, just because I know they probably have it, because they before that first UFL that I fought on, you would have thought that was their 60th or 70th show. But prior to that, I had 14 fights. I got 16 fights now. Prior to that, I had 14 fights. You would have thought, I'm like, yeah, most of them were amateur, but like I've been on a lot of pro scenes and saw a lot of pro fights. A lot of the amateur cards I fought on, I was at the undercards, but like I've seen pro fight. I'm just like, you would have thought that was their 60th, 70th fight. Like it was so professional, it was so clean, everything was done. It looked and felt like the biggest stage. It was the biggest stage I've ever been on, but it looked like everything you see on TV when you're looking at a UFC fight. I'm like, damn, I'm looking at the back, the corner area. I'm like, shit, I got stuff with name tags on it. I'm like, the lights show. And then like I told them when I saw this, because we fought at the same venue, I was like, dang, y'all even did some rearranging. It actually looks better like than it did before, which means they're learning and go as they're going too, but it's just getting better and better. And like the shows are just, they're amazing. You see them, they're not dead fights. They're top tier fights. But I don't know what style they will adopt for them. I'm pretty sure they have way better numbers than I can possibly think of it in my head, because they have a whole team on what could be the better, hey, maybe we run more tournament style fights and then have champ fights at the end, or maybe it's a blend of one, or just have top contenders fighting the title holders for big shows and stuff like that. So I'm not sure like where that falls, but wherever it falls, I'm pretty sure they'll do great with it.
Yeah. So going forward, we don't know what's coming next, but if you had a choice or to choose, would you stick to fighting 2-3 times a year? Is that your?
Oh man,
is that
three times a year?
Too much?
I feel like 3 times a year is like the sweet spot. But 3 times a year gives me like time in between fights to grow as a martial artist, fill my own gaps, as well as like have proper training camps. And like, I've been fortunate enough that I've had 2 fights and I have no physical injuries from the fights. I have a black eye, but that's not an injury. That's aesthetics, right? So it's like, also it gives you enough time to like, hey, if you do acquire any injury or cuts or whatever, you have enough time to heal and like get better prior to the next camp. So I like 3 fights a year. I used to think 5 fights a year, then I realized like there's almost no room for a significant improvement, because if a fight camp is 2 months, right, minimum 2 months, you're talking about 10 months, and then you have 8 weeks spread in there. That might be a little gap. So some of those training camps might be more. It's like I tell people, you don't really learn a lot more in a training camp. You sharpen up a lot of tools. You might learn some stuff, but you develop new skills and sharpen more tools outside of training camp. So you can just fight. Obviously, if I go in and get like a first round knockout and they offer an additional fight, yeah, like cool, like yeah, I can take that fight and take no damage. We can go back, have a short training camp if it's a quick turnaround or something like that. But like I think 3 is a sweet spot. I get to have 3 fights. That's two months per camp. As a title fight, I like 9 to 10 weeks, so about 2.5 months at max. So you figure 2.5 to about 7 months out of the year, you're prepping for a fight, and then you have another 5 months to be in Thailand again. Do some traveling, some training, some skill development, working on some stuff, continue to grow as a martial artist. I think that 3 fights a year is like perfect for me. I think it's perfect.
Yeah. So another thing I wanted to hit on that I feel like doesn't get hit on a lot. This is just kind of like a question that maybe some people want to know. So like your nutrition, I feel like a lot of people don't understand the dieting and like the meals and everything. So give us an idea, like what's your calorie intake and how are you watching what you eat and how does that impact as a fighter?
I got you. I can give you guesstimation numbers because after you train twice a day and you teaching kids classes and adults and doing all this other stuff, the last thing you want to do is go home and start weighing food out and counting calories and all this stuff. But I've been doing nutrition for a while now, so I know the contents of what I'm eating and around about. I was like, oh, okay, well I got probably like 600-700 calories. But I told someone the other day, like, I'm a 135er. I weigh about 157, 158 outside of camp. Sometimes I can push like 160, 161 to 162 is like bigger for me if I'm really focused on a lot of strength training and like eating more calories or not really focused too much on my nutrition. But I just adopted a healthier lifestyle. But I told someone who is a 155er who weighs like 185, close to 190, I was like, yeah, my calorie intake's about 2,500 to 3,000 calories a day. He's like, what? He's like, I wish I could eat 25. I'm like, why aren't you eating? I'm like, you a grown ass man, bro. You 185, 190 pounds. Why? He's like, man, because I was feeling good for this and that. And I was like, bro, tap in with me, man. Get with me. Because like, you can't be eating no 1,800 calories because
like middleweight.
Well, no, he weighs 185. He fights at 155.
Oh,
it's like lightweight. So like, I'm like, bro, you are killing yourself, and you're training too. Like,
if you're gonna be that big, you might as well be eating.
Really good. Well, all right. So this is the issue. People don't know this. Majority of athletes that they're performance athletes who have to perform based off of a weight category, majority of them have eating disorders. Majority, especially wrestlers. And this is something that I started to fall into as an amateur, and I recognized it, and I was like, holy fuck. Like, this is not good. This is not healthy. Not just the thoughts, but what you're doing, how you look at food. I've had ex-fighters, like, take years. Guys are like, I don't even fight anymore. It took me years to look at food differently because you know that everything is based off that number on the scale. I have to be this number. So you're not in a fight camp. And you step on the scale, you see a number, you instantly go, oh, I'm too heavy. And then you start restricting calories, you don't eat as much, you don't do this, and you're still training, and it's the worst thing to do for performance. But fighters are mentally tough, so they push through the struggle and the pain, and ultimately it affects them on the back end as far as injury, sleep, recovery, and the biggest one of all is performance. We are performance athletes. You have to eat for performance. So one of the biggest things that I did that helped me out, I know it sounds so small, but it helped me out a ton. I only weigh myself once a week. That's it. Because when I was an amateur and all this other stuff, and early as a pro, I know I got to be at 35. And even though I've never missed weight and I cut weight every time I step on a scale, I'm like, it says 162, like 162. And then the next day I'm like, it's 161. It's like, yo, you're not supposed to be losing a pound a day. You're supposed to be doing this the right way. So I only weigh in once a week, and that right there allows me to stick to my nutrition and hydration and stick to my formula. There's a system, and as long as you follow the system, it's A, B, C gives you, A plus B gives you C. Cool. A plus B gives you C. And then this is my weight check. I just check my weight. I'm like, hey, hydration plus nutrition plus recovery, your weight will be perfect. Hydration plus nutrition plus recovery, weight will be perfect. And that's my system. And I literally I'll show you, because I'm like big on documenting stuff because I need to know what happens. I have a picture of my monthly calendar. 5 weeks outside the fight, like clockwork, I drop 1 to 2 pounds every week, naturally. Not because I restrict calories. I actually am eating more. But there's a system. Volume versus intensity. Volume versus intensity. And if I do a lot of volume, it can't be intense. If I do a lot of intensity, it's not going to be for a long period of time. So there's a scale. If there's like a box, and you got to think of like if you cut the box like from corner to corner, high volume further outside. I'm giving away secrets now. You know? Fuck. Hire me. High volume outside of camp. As you get closer to the fight, higher intensity. And as people get closer, they start restricting a lot of stuff. I actually do the opposite. I eat more because I'm trying to fuel myself. The top 2 things for recovery are sleep, hydration, and nutrition. So it's like, I want to aid in my recovery. I don't want to be malnourished. I don't want to be dehydrated. So you don't eat the same foods every day, and you don't drink, well, I do drink the same amount of water. I have literally 11 bottles of water. That's a gallon, 10 bottles of water, a gallon in a quart. That's a gallon is my standard for water, and then everything else can be added with hydration. And one or 2 of those bottles of water go straight pink Himalayan sea salt. So I have at least a gallon and a quarter of water every day. It's not optional. It's not optional at all. And then I'm eating a minimum of 4 times a day. And then a snack, so about 5 times a day. 4 meals and a snack. And you talk about 2,500 calories, 25 to 3,000 calories a day is what I'm doing. And then I'm not about to get into macros and all that stuff. I'm not a bodybuilder, but I know what they are. But my biggest thing is focus on my protein intake and then carbs. I see so many athletes like, oh, I'm looking better. I'm cutting out carbs. I'm like, you about to perform like shit, bro. I love my carbs and I eat them every fucking day, lots of them. But I do that, and then my weight starts to drop, and nutrition is probably the thing that people struggle with the most because they don't know. They don't know what they don't know, and then they do all. Yeah, and then that's why like my guy missed weight by 4 pounds, and I was like, to give you a context, I woke up 6 a.m. that morning. I was supposed to weigh 135, between 135 and 136. I was 142 that morning at 6 a.m. I cut 6 pounds in under 2 hours because I was properly hydrated. I ate food that whole week. I drank water that whole week. The only day I didn't drink water was the day of the weigh-ins. And most fighters are cutting out water like a day, 2 days. I'm like,
lots of water.
I'm like, no, man, I can't eat no sodium, no carbs. I had carbs Friday morning. Not Friday morning, Wednesday morning, and I had carbs on Thursday too. I was like, I cut weight when I landed in Phoenix. They did my weight check was 152 on Wednesday. It was 135.9 on Friday. Nutrition, diet, knowing how to recover, and knowing how to do it. So, like,
did you get a piece of his purse for that?
Yes, I did.
Oh, nice.
Nice piece of espresso. Nice slice of the pie.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I know we hit on Thailand earlier, but if there's anything else that, you know, whether you picked up from the people or the fighters, whether it's a quote, because I know you love your quotes. You're always posting the best quotes or saying. So if there's anything else that you want to speak on that, I'd love to hear it, because Thailand's a wonderful.
I could just, in my head, I could just hear them yelling, balance, balance, balance. It's balance. But like with the, it's just like everybody wants to know all these combinations and all this extra stuff when they go to Thailand. And they're so focused on, I'm not going to teach you nothing if you can't just throw a good kick. And like, I don't think like a particular like saying or anything or like comes right to mind, so I'm not gonna like force it, but just the people, like I just like think about the reel in my head and I could just see everybody smile, like the trainers, like I can see the trainers and like their smile and like how they say moon, like come here, but like just everything, just the whole experience. I don't have one thing in particular. It was just the whole experience, from the people, the culture. It just felt like love. That's what that if I could sum it up in one word, like love is that thing that like no one can really explain, but everybody feels and has their own opinion on. That's what it felt like. Love.
That's awesome.
That's it. Yeah.
That's awesome. So go flash the past real quick. So I think it's 2 years ago you fought Mike Wilson in NFC.
Yeah.
Now, I was at NFC 157, and he just fought his last fight. He fought for the NFC.
I was there.
And in 157?
Yeah, with Nathan Rivera and Nate Williams.
Ben Rainwater?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was up top, man. Okay. Yeah, I know you posted, I think you were at the previous event too as well, weren't you?
Yeah.
So, that's funny. I didn't see you there, but next time maybe. But, so Mike Wilson, former opponent, he fought for the NFC OG title belt, kind of the BMF belt of NFC. Seeing him just put his gloves down there as a former opponent and a guy who's well respected just for always putting on a show.
Yeah.
How was it sharing the octagon with him?
Oh, I loved it. He's one of my favorite like fighters out of Georgia. Like he's the one that everybody's talking about fighting all the top talent, but then when it comes time to show up in the cage, not everybody's willing to sign the contract and get in there. He has literally fought the best of the best in Georgia. Like I fought him, my teammate Quentin Culpepper fought him. He's fought, Brandon Moran, like Akeem, like he's fought all the top guys out of Georgia who are doing anything like in pro MMA, who decided to like extend their career, or even the ones who haven't decided to extend their career at the point in time. And I just like that attitude of like somebody who's willing to fight, no excuses. Like you don't hear a peep out of him. Like we all deal with injuries and this and that. I've never heard of him pulling out of a fight, missing weight, like anything. Like he's a true fighter. He represents Georgia mixed martial arts very, very well. And it was an honor to share the cage with him. Especially what people don't know is me and him, before we fought, me and him had met at another event, and we had talked about it. Like, man, it'd be good. Man, maybe we might fight. And then I had just chain of opponents pulling out of fights. Not just pulling out, I'm talking about like not showing up the day of weigh-ins. Like I cut weight, I'm on a scale, they don't show up. Day of the fight, don't show up. I remember getting a call, I'm staying here with Cole. Like it's before I moved to Warner Robins, but I did my whole training camp here, so I lived with Cole for my whole training camp. And like I'm living in somebody else's house, sleeping in somebody else's room, like, and it was just training. Like, it's just like all this time I spent away from family, friends, like all the money I spent on this camp. And I get a call Thursday night. We got to weigh in Friday morning. It's like, yeah, your opponent's not up. You're not the opponent's. Not just your opponent's not going to fight. They're not going to make weight, so they're not going to fight. It's like, the fuck are we talking about? And it happened to me once. It happened to me twice. It happened 3 times, 4 times. And he was like, man, it was on a Facebook thing, on like their Facebook feed. He was like, He's like, I'd show up for a fight for Moon. And I was like, I appreciate that. And I was like, is he serious? Or is he just saying that because like I had all these fights fall through? Mm-hmm. And then he's like, no, I'll show up for a fight for you. And he was my first fight back after 18 months. Because I had like five canceled bouts.
You had 3 in a row at one point.
3 in a row at one point.
Yeah.
No. 3 in a row is what y'all know.
Yeah.
Y'all don't know the back end. I got tired of posting about fights because I don't have a 9-to-5 job, and a huge part of how I make money during a fight is ticket sale commission. And I literally had people who were supporting me, who were buying tickets, who had to refund money the next day, so I'm not making a dime. And now when I have a fight, I literally had people telling me, nah, I'm not gonna come. This guy's probably gonna pull out. And I was like, that shit hurt my heart. Like, it made me feel like I was doing something wrong when I did nothing wrong. I cut weight, I trained, I did everything I was supposed to do, and these guys just didn't. I'm like, why would you sign a contract and just not fulfill it? And then I started like driving myself crazy. Like, how could people not do this? And then Lathan was telling me, you can't control what people do, and you're driving yourself crazy because you expect people to hold up you expect people to have the standard that you have, but that's what makes you you. So it really took my team to really come into me. I remember that fight happened. Cole's at his house. He hears me in the garage, like, fuck. He comes out. He's like, you good? I was like, fight's off. He's like, all right, on to the next one. And I was like, what? Like, I just been 10 weeks. Like, he's just like, he's so...
He's had that though. I mean, he's been in that kind of similar
but that's what I'm saying. Someone who's been there, done that. We had little drama on the back end prior to this fight because this guy missed weight. And I'm in weight cut brain. I literally just got off the scale, started rehydrating. And they're like, you guys 4 pounds off. I'm like, fuck that, make him cut. Like I'm like, I just cut weight. Like, you got to go cut weight now. And then Cole and Bubby was like, chill. I was like, so what's going to happen? Am I not going to fight? We didn't come all the way to Arizona. I'm like, this, that, and the third. I'm like, because now we're beyond like, oh, he missed weight by a pound. He missed weight by 4 pounds. It's like, okay, cool, this, that, and the third. I'm like, all right, cool. I don't do anything. I can sit back, talk with my team. I'm like, I would have never thought of it. I can't give you like the details of what happened. Mm-hmm. But he was like, oh, this is going to happen. I'm going to tell them they got to do this, that, and the third. And I was like, fuck, I would have never thought about that. Mm-hmm. And then Bubby's like, yeah, we did this when so-and-so missed weight. We made them do this, that, and the third, and what it does. And I was like, this is experience that I've never had. And I fought for a decent amount of time. He's talking about 20-time UFC vet. And then Bubby, who's been around the game just as long as Cole, they're best friends. He's fought. Lathan, too, is my best friend. He's like, man, I'm learning stuff on the go, too. So they went back, talked to them, came back, and was like, we got everything we wanted. Check. I was like, I would have never thought of reframing the contract this way. I would have never thought of asking for this. I would have never thought of the stipulations of this going that way. But that's why you have a team, and like they did that. You know, it's like comes with the experience. So kind of like wrap it full circle. I had an 18-month period between after COVID happened. I don't have a job because I was a general manager of an MMA gym. The MMA gym shut down, couldn't afford to pay me. Yeah. So like now I'm leaving. I'm no longer an instructor. Cole opens his doors. He says, well, I'm looking for instructors. I said, well, I'll move to Warner Robins. Moved here. Started getting back on the fight scene. Tried to get a fight in August of 2022. Didn't fall through. Tried to get a fight September. Didn't fall through. Then tried to get a fight that winter. That October fight. That's another one with a guy. Didn't show up. So it was like 1, 2, 3. fucking moved out here, did this stuff. Another one didn't show up, and then boom, I ended up having the Mike Wilson fight, and he's a G, bro. Shout out to Mike Wilson.
NFC OG, that inverse triangle. Come on,
inverse triangle. That was like, and then not just what do you call it? Showing up. Like, we just went to war.
And showing out.
Showing up and showing out. Like, you had, like, he brings a huge crowd, and so it was, like, my crowd and his crowd, and it was just, like, it was madness. Hey, Mad Mike. That's what they call him, Mad Mike, right? So it was like Mad Mike and the Moon Show. We put on the show for the NFC, and it was a great fight.
Now we're kind of towards the tail end. I want to kind of go over, some predictions. I know you got your millions thing going on, but I just want to hear kind of Sterling O'Malley. How you feeling? How you feeling, Sterling O'Malley?
So, I was just saying, I'm playing the odds on this one. I think Sterling's going to win. I just don't see if Sterling gets him to the ground, I just don't see how...
He takes his back, it's over.
If he takes his back, I think it's over. And I don't think, maybe O'Malley fights it off or whatever, but he starts to kind of drain O'Malley, wear on him, being a backpack.
Being a heavy guy.
Being a heavy guy. Aljo's a massive 135er. And then, I've seen Aljo strike. He has very unorthodox striking. And I think it was a fight with... was it Pedro? Pedro Munoz.
Yes.
Right? And they went 5 rounds, and they just struck. And so he could take a hit. Obviously, everyone's going to bring up the Marlon Moraes knee. Yeah, we know about Marlon Moraes knee. And Lathan literally just hit me up yesterday, sent me a video. He was like, hey, I know everybody's thinking Aljo, but this is something I wanted to talk with you about because, he is susceptible to catching knees. And we know O'Malley's got really good striking.
He does have good knees, too. He's very flexible.
And I'm like, especially with the height, you don't have to really throw a knee like that. You're that tall. Boom, you could just shoot it up. You don't have to, get really low. And Aljo kind of dips his head a little bit sometimes. We going into some of my analytical stuff. But I'm playing the odds. But there's this little thing inside that I'm just like...
He's a good underdog.
I'm like... Is O'Malley going to shock him? Is he going to knock out Aljamain?
Because it's hard to believe that he's gotten this far because he doesn't see you see the hair and this physique. You just don't think this guy's a champion, but he's really got skills. Really he's great with jiu-jitsu. He's great with striking.
Good.
He's a fairly good wrestler, but he doesn't use it offensively.
His striking is really good. A lot of guys when they're specialists in one area, they become really good counter guys, really good counter wrestling, really good counter jiu-jitsu, and they'll get some submissions because they might wobble somebody and then jump on their neck, their back. They got that. But, at this level, it's not that everybody could just do one thing. It's mixed martial arts for a reason, and you're fighting for a title for a reason. But the old saying, there's levels. There's levels to grappling, wrestler, jiu-jitsu, Aljo's grappling is just...
It's next level.
It's next level. And I just feel like if it gets to the ground...
I agree.
And unless something crazy happens in the first round, you're not telling me it's going to be a 5-round fight without getting to the ground.
If he can outstrike him, he's definitely going to get his hands on him in 5 rounds.
As well as O'Malley's never been 5 rounds. So this is how I go odds. Highest percent chance... If you had highest level grappler in the world versus the highest level striker, highest level grappler probably wins, right? Mm-hmm. So I said, okay, that gives him the edge. And is Aljo's grappling jiu-jitsu or wrestling? It's both. Yeah. People don't know. He wrestles and he does jiu-jitsu. So now, boom. All right. Then I say distance. If it goes the distance, who has the highest percentage chance of winning? Aljo. He's been the distance 3 fights, right? 3 fights. Henry, Peter Yan,
Piotr, and
Piotr Yan.
Not Cheeto, but
I think it's 3 fights. He went the distance.
Yeah,
and he not gassed though, a pace the distance, right? And then I think
not Dominic. Well, who is it? Damn it! There's a third one. I can't even remember his name right now.
I don't even remember. But then I think of O'Malley. In the Yan fight.
That's how I see.
They were both going down. Yeah. They were both boom, and I'm just if it hits a 4th round, if they started to go up, what is it? The longer it goes, the more I would give it to Aljo, right? And so I'm odds tell me
Sean's chances are going to be in the early rounds. Aljo's going to go the distance. He wins.
Yeah, that's how I was if it goes to the distance, I was trying to figure out who the odds. What area does this person have a chance to win the most, and that's where I see it at. Mm-hmm. Me personally, so I think I don't know. I don't think it'll go to distance.
You don't think so?
No, I think Aljo finishes it.
Which round? Choose a round. Pick a round. What do you got? I think it's going to go the distance. I think it can.
Trying to figure out, do I go safe bet and say 3? I'm thinking 3 or 4. But I think if he gets him early before they get all sweaty and stuff, it could be a wreck. It could be like an absolute wreck. Like when he fought Corey Sandhagen and he went in, he took him down and just choked him out.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what if he comes out like that and he gets him to the ground before they're sweaty? Oh.
Yeah.
Well, like Khabib took Conor down that first round and he was just down there for like 3 minutes and it's just like bang, 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 bang. It's just like, or Poirier took, it's like, you see these strikers get taken down and then they get weird on for a whole round. It's like, oh.
Can't strike as well on the ground.
I don't know. This is one of those ones where I'm like, do I just make a risky game, flip a coin, say, hey, Aljo second round, or are we going more calculated?
Yeah.
Like Aljo,
yeah,
third or fourth is like what I'm thinking, like submission.
Yeah,
I think he's gonna find a way to get submission, or he'll use a submission to like set up ground and pound. That's something that I was excited about having. Like I know that my fight in Miami last year, I got that armbar, but I got the armbar because I got ground and pound. And I was telling Lathan, like, if you look at the 135 weight class, name one person who does a lot of damage ground and pound.
Not a lot, other than Aljo.
Little to none.
Maybe Corey. Maybe if you go, I mean, he tore his
tricep. So
but he did. But I mean, if he did,
I'm not saying, oh, this guy got good ground and pound in a fight. I'm talking about stylistically.
Oh,
okay. There's no guy like, oh, if this guy takes me to the ground, he's gonna crush my brains. Like, there's no one. There's a person in each weight class. 45, 55, 70, 85. Where you're like, if this person take me to the ground and pound's gonna be like, I can't go down.
Mm-hmm.
And I was telling him, I said, at 35 weight class, you don't have that because these guys are so explosive, so fast that the second someone gets down, any space you get up to posture up to do significant. Because like this little ground and pound where you're super close does nothing. Ground and pound isn't really effective damage-wise until you start to posture up, and then you can rain down, and you can get like that body motion into it. Obviously, if you have someone trapped and you can get your arm back there, cool. But the odds of you like Khabib trapping the arm, the legs up, and doing all that, and then having a free hand, this is high level fighting. It's probably slim to none. So when you can get to a point to where you can ground and pound, and I was like, I always wanted that to be a part of my game, and like it's getting there. It's like, hey, when I got to the mount on this guy. When I took him down and I was like feeling his body, I was like, oh, okay, well, I know I can get here. We're going to go back here. We're going to do this. And then I was just like, all right, now you can just let him go. Let him fly. And it's like, I want to also have that be like a notch in people's heads. Like when they fight me, it's like, okay, he's not just going to submit. Because right now I got 6 wins. 2 went the distance, so we know I can go the distance. 2 are by KO, TKO, and 2 are by submission. That's as even as it gets. So it's like, oh, well, where do we beat this guy? And that's why I'd say I want to have this large base or foundation, not just be a striker or a grappler or this. I want to say, oh, if it hits the ground, he can sub you. If it hits the ground, he can ground and pound you. If it's standing up, he can knock you out, or he can be super technical. He can just point you, outscore you. So, like, just kind of getting that base. But
yeah. No, and another one. I don't even know if I think it may have just announced it. Covington and Edwards.
Yes!
I think I'm going to put all my chips on Edwards.
What?
Yes. I mean, think about it. Think about it. This man's beat Kamaru Usman twice back-to-back. Colby Covington's lost back-to-back to him in the past.
That MMA math don't work like that. MMA math doesn't work like that.
I know he's a great wrestler, right? But Leon's done pretty good against Kamaru, who's a great wrestler.
Kamaru doesn't wrestle like Colby wrestles, though.
I don't know if he's going to try and engage with the wrestling game, though, like he did with Masvidal, Colby. I don't know if he's going to be able to.
Why would he not?
No, I'm not saying he won't. I'm saying I don't know if he'll be able to pull it off the way he did against Masvidal. I don't think.
Why?
They're different levels. Leon and Masvidal are levels apart.
You're this is where your MMA knowledge might be.
No, this is just my take.
But everybody has an opinion.
Yeah.
Masvidal's grappling is way better than you think. He's been around for a very long period of time, right? And there's nothing that he hasn't seen. If you look a lot of Masvidal early in his career, he can wrestle. He can wrestle. You're seeing him at the later part of his career where Colby Covington's more at the peak of his career, and That's what I'm saying. When you have something so simple as basic wrestling, or look what Izzy does. He jabs, he feints, he calf kicks, right?
Bob's his head this way, Bob just said that.
Very simple things. But when you can do the simple things better than everyone else on your level can do, you look amazing, right? And you're just like, yeah, I don't think he can just grab him and hold him down. Kamaru Usman was Colby Covington's kryptonite. There was no one else in the 170 division that he wasn't going to do that to. You know why? Because he did it to all of them already. Who else in the 170 division hasn't Colby Covington did that to? No one.
Well, let's look at his opponents, right? So he fought Masvidal beginning of 21, I think. 22. I don't even remember. It's like he had the whole thing with Masvidal.
He had a whole thing. Yeah,
but then before Masvidal, it was Usman, right? Usman 2.
Yeah.
And then before that, it was Usman 1. And then before that, I think it was Rory, Hall of Famer, just inducted.
Not Josiah.
No. Fought with Rory McDonald.
Oh, Robbie Lawler.
Robbie Lawler. It was Robbie Lawler before him, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Or Tyron Woodley, one of the two. It was like those two guys.
Yeah, he fought Tyron.
Those two guys were on their way out.
Lawler.
Those two guys were on their way. All I'm saying is those two guys were on their way out, and then he lost to Usman. I think him fighting Leon is a real good breath of fresh air. So I feel that Leon has a slight advantage.
I don't.
We'll see.
Hey, there's one of those things where styles make fights.
Yeah.
And Leon hasn't been in the level of wrestling that Covington has is not just wrestling, it's pressure, and it's conditioning. And when you can get in someone's head in the fight, my job in the fight is to make you fight my fight, not to fight your fight. Right? I think part of Leon's game plan will be to counter Colby's wrestling. And that's putting too much energy and effort on the other guy's game plan versus more on yours. That's just, I think
unless he tries to pull what he did with Usman and just strike the whole time when they're both
that's
two
not
really
gonna
great wrestlers.
No, that's what happened when two wrestlers do it, because it costs too much energy to be wrestling back and forth with another guy who has the same skill set as you. That's why when you see two wrestlers, they strike.
It's the greatest.
Because they're like, hey, it's going to take a lot to get this person down. Their skill set negates my skill set. So it's like, this skill set doesn't negate striking. It's like, striking is less effective when you're on your back foot as far as power goes. So now you have a guy, this is where pressure comes into play. Now you have a guy who's going to keep you on your back foot to make your strikes less effective. And then if you start kicking while you're on your back foot, one leg is off the ground, and now he's a wrestler. And then they call it climbing the rope. You touch the leg, you climb the rope to the body, and then now you're on the cage. And when you're on the cage, it's going to be grueling and it's going to be tiring. And then you'll find a way to separate, and then here comes the pressure again on the back foot. This is the part of fighting where I'm like, I've been in the training room with guys who wrestle. It's just like, oh my God, this guy wants to back up. And I've been at times where I'm like, okay, well, this guy's a good striker. I'm going to put him on his back foot. We're going to just, all right, the whole fight. And it's like, that's the other dynamics of it. You got to look at it. Like, I don't think it's going to be a lot of like, I think it's going to be more like he's going to be trying to stalk him down, get his back to the cage, get him down. He's not going to throw a lot of power on his shots. He'll throw some power, but the goal is going to be to grab him. And when he grabs him, he's going to try and drown him.
Yeah, fair enough. I'll try and stay tuned for your million slash.
Oh yeah,
I want to see your reaction. If Leon wins, I'm gonna rub it. If Colby wins, please rub it. But one thing I forgot. So just a quick reminder, just one small thing. So when you flew out, I don't know the exact elevation change, but did that elevation change from Georgia to Arizona impact you at all? No, at all.
It wasn't enough to.
I don't know. What is the elevation up there? Do you know?
I didn't even think about it.
Okay.
I was like, I've been to Wyoming and I've been to Colorado, and I trained when I was out there, and I felt it the day after. Like it just
takes like a month to get a quad.
I don't know. I don't know what the actual day. I think it's more along the lines of like 2 weeks or something like that to get acclimated. I spoke to a guy who's sports physician. Like he did like strength and conditioning and all that stuff, and he's got he's got a doctorate in it. He's like, oh, go here. You want to do elevation training? You want to do it for at least X amount. I was saying all this stuff. I was like, oh, you got to write this out for me, bro. I did not forget too much. But yeah, I'm like, I didn't feel anything out in Arizona. Like it was hot as fuck. It was in the desert. It was every
dry out there.
Every day was like 100. I think the coolest day we had was 104 or 105.
It's hot.
That was the coolest.
And it's the dry heat. It's not the humid.
Yeah, it felt like somebody had an air fryer, like a blow dryer on you the whole time he was out there. It was yeah. That's why I was like, how could you not make weight, bro? I did my weight cut sessions outside.
Yeah.
I started outside.
I started outside. Sauna. Or
yeah. Well, I just put on some sweats.
Yeah.
Started jumping rope, jogging, But
and now that I think about that, Thailand, is there a difference in elevation there? Is it lower or higher? I don't know, but
I don't know about that elevation.
If that helped you at all.
The fucking heat was ridiculous.
Humid?
Like imagine this.
Times like 100.
Yeah. It was so crazy because on the heat index, it wasn't like, oh, it's 105 degrees or 100 degrees. It was like, oh, it's like 94 degrees or 96. And it's like, all right. But it was like, whatever the closest you can get to 100% humidity without being in a bathtub. That's what it felt like. I remember like I would walk at night to the stores, like a 7-Eleven, like 2 blocks from us. So I'm gonna get some protein shakes or get a snack or something like that. And then like I would go walk, and I would, as soon as I get out the little apartment I was staying in,
sweat.
As soon as I get down, I'm sweating. I'm like, yo, it's 8 at night, 9 at night. Like, what is going on, man? Like, yeah, it was absolutely, it was, the humidity was crazy. It took me about a week to catch up to hydration.
What month was that? That was
April.
April, wasn't it? Oh, that's
April here.
It rained a little bit there when you were there.
No. So I was at like the summer. Their wet season is right after that. The wet season comes like into May, like it's like into May, more like June, July.
It's kind of like how it is here.
Yeah,
or has been recently.
Yeah, it's been a lot of rain recently.
Yeah. So anything you want to shout out, your brand, Millions, whatever, you shout it out.
Yeah, I want to give a special shout out to my sponsors, everyone that sponsored me. It was 6 months in between my fight in February and then up to the fight, and training camps are very expensive. If you're just a person that lives an everyday life and you go and you go and like, man, food is expensive. Yeah, for me, for fighting, that's nutrition and recovery, as far as like going to the chiropractor and going to the physical therapist and stuff like that. Shout out to the UFL for insurance. But a lot of these places don't take health insurance for those kind of things, because the majority of stuff I'm doing is rehabilitation or prehab stuff. So it's to make sure I can stay healthy. So I'm not injured. So like it's nothing that I can use health insurance for. And the money that I get from my sponsors help me out during a training camp, as far as eating, good food, my recovery sessions, my chiropractor sessions, massage sessions, anytime I have to go get any work done and stuff like that, it directly fuels my training camp for the fight. So shout out to Morton Electric, Primetime Towing, shout out to Impact Mouth Guards for my mouth guard. They made me a cool little mouth guard for this fight. Koki is my barber. He sponsored me for this fight as well. Nurturing Minds Tutorial, PMG Trucking, F3, of course. F3 helps out with my F3.
Cheers.
F3 helps out with my training camps. They actually send me a check every month to help out with the training camps, to help prepare for a fight. They also did help pay for some expenses in Thailand as well. So like just all my sponsors, all my gyms, Miller Martial Arts, Rush, the original gym I started at with Frank Mullis, Mama. Creative Memories for doing all the photo shoots and recording the training sessions prior to the actual fight camp, so like just without my sponsors, like none of this is really possible, because it gets very, very expensive. I wish I could give someone the bill for my training camp. Like, what the fuck is going on? I'm like, yup. But like for me, it's do it right or don't do it at all. And I'm like, if the right things cost money, find a way to get the money. and like that's what I'm doing. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Thank you for the interview.
Oh yeah.
Amun Cosme, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, sir.
Signing off.
All right.